Hey everybody, it's Chris. Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be talking about 1981's Graduation Day. This is the Vinegar Syndrome release. That is Blu-ray. It's a 4K scan, brought down to 1080p. Let's get into it. Before we do that, consider subscribing to the channel. We do a lot of reviews on this channel, a bunch of cool stuff like this. So get down there, hit that subscribe button, hit the little bell, like button. Let me know what you think of 1981's Graduation Day. All right, so let's get into this. So we start out with a track race, very 80s, very grainy, very 80s, some butt rock music, and there's this girl running, and they're all doing this, and all of a sudden she collapses, and we find out that she's died. We later find out what she actually died from. It is kind of boring, I will say. Some of these kills are very low budget, and the plot revolves around this girl dying, and then years and years and years later, somebody is coming back to take revenge on the old track team. I would say years later, but I guess it's maybe not that long after this because they're still in high school, so maybe a year. They don't really say like how long it's been. I'm assuming it's, when this girl graduated. I don't know. It really doesn't matter. The plot is not that relevant to this movie. I think you're getting that from this. But anyway, so the sister comes back. You can tell there's some tension throughout the family because of this girl's loss. She ended up dying from a blood clot, but they believe that she died from the coach just pushing and pushing and pushing. And they kind of later allude to her like being a machine, and that all these people are just machines, that this guy is like pushing and pushing and pushing, and he wants him to be perfect. He even has like a stopwatch all the time. And there's a scene where there's a girl doing this gymnastics routine, and it's never right. It's never right. And so you get this instance. I think they're trying to set up, obviously, that he is the killer, which, spoilers, is not the case. He's not the killer, which I knew that from the beginning. They make you think it's a sister at some points. Who it ends up being, I didn't expect, and they have a weird thing at the end of this. But that's par for the course with these like lower budget 80s movies. There's always that like slight twist at the end where you're like, you thought you knew what was going into this, but you actually don't. And it's way weirder than you thought. And I was like, okay, you got me. But anyway, so we're following the sister as she's going back and trying to kind of figure out what's going on, and these murders start happening. And there really isn't a cop until like the very end of the movie, which is also interesting. These people are dying and just like, okay, and then a cop shows up randomly like in the third act of the film to be like, I'm here now. I'm investigating. He didn't do shit, and so it's very funny. It's okay. It's not terrible. I wouldn't say it's like an amazing slasher either. This guy is a fencer, and so that's kind of your first clue that maybe it's not the coach, but maybe he could have been a fencer back in the day. I don't know. I was never like sure who the killer was, so I guess they did keep that up, and the person it is, I just didn't think about it being him, which is probably why they did it. Sorry, my glasses are itching. Anyway, it ends up being, spoilers, it ends up being the boyfriend. And so, I mean, yes, you could be like, oh, that's the case, he's taking revenge out of all these people, but because they're like pushing you so hard on the coach, you really don't think about that. And they also pitch the sister sometimes about maybe getting revenge on these people for killing her sister. But the angle of the boyfriend is somewhat weird. You're like, oh yeah, it makes sense in the moment that it is revealed that it's happening. But then they reveal that like he has kept earthed up her corpse and is like, has her just propped up in his bedroom, and they're gonna get married, and he at one point asked the sister to kiss her at the end. It's very weird. I will say the funny part about this is like the choreography in the kills, and when people are fighting, it's very bad. I mean, it's kind of like you can imagine there's one person and they're like this, and they're moving, and then it's like, oh no, ugh, oh no, stab, ugh. It's very bad. Guys, this is a low budget horror movie for Vinegar Syndrome. I mean, I don't know what you expect, but it's very cheesy, it's very bad, and it's just okay. I mean, again, it is not your typical 80s slasher, but you can tell it's like one of those that's like, yeah, we want to be like Final Exam or something. Final Exam's great. Maybe we'll cover that in the future. Anyway, it's that typical like low rent, like, hey, let's put something out because we want to be in the slasher craze. It's just very generic, very simple. Do I like it? It's fine. Do I hate it? By no means do I hate it. But again, I don't know what is this trend. I covered Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, and that's a great slasher. That's a little more modern, obviously, but it's not boring. All of it is interesting. And so I feel like some of the movies I picked lately are just kind of boring, and it's been kind of disappointing. So I'm hoping, obviously, I'm just like burning through movies, trying to pick stuff that I haven't seen before and cover a lot of stuff and different genres of stuff. It just sucks. because it's kind of boring. So if you got anything that's interesting slashers, now most of them I probably have seen, obviously all of the big tentpole ones that are cool I've more than likely seen, but I'm down for anything. I'm down to like hear any suggestions that I will cover in the months to come. We've got a lot to cover, and I've got a whole whiteboard full of stuff that I'm trying to get through and cover. New direction for the channel. Anyway, what are some other 80s slashers you'd like me to cover on the channel that you love? I hope I don't hate them, but maybe I will. That's how this goes. Anyway, jump down in the comments, let me know all that. I'm gonna link some videos for you at the end so you can continue your journey on the channel. Consider subscribing, becoming part of the collective here. And if you enjoy all we do, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.